Welcome to the Check Your Head podcast, the podcast where notable musicians come and share their mental health stories, their experiences, and most importantly, their solutions to some of the tough challenges in life. I'm Mari Fong. I'm your host and also a longtime music journalist and life coach for musicians. And today we have part 2 of Fred Armisen of Portlandia and Saturday Night Live. We also have an interview with Johan Svanberg of Record Union, who speaks about his 73% study on mental health and also a new initiative on mental health for musicians. And today we also have our first COVID-19 episode. We are in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic, and with that comes a lot of anxiety, a lot of uncertain times financially and also just with the health of our nation. I know for myself, just any cough, any sneeze, I'm like, oh my gosh, do I have coronavirus? And the same goes for, trying to protect yourself during this time. I mean, I'm out there with full protection. I've got goggles and a mask and gloves. I've got my hat on, and I'm doing whatever I can to protect myself and my loved ones. And at the same time, kind of trying to keep some normalcy, staying indoors, but having to kind of deal with the stress of this pandemic. But with our podcast, we do talk a lot about solutions. So I'm going to tell you that, there were some things that I discovered about myself and things that I was able to focus on beyond the coronavirus that has really been positive. One thing that I've done is I've started a vegetable garden, which I've been wanting to do forever. I've got 3 tomato plants. I've got zucchini. I've got jalapeno growing. The other thing I've been doing is been focusing on my indoor space. So getting a lot of house projects done. Like we recently tiled the bathroom and we're starting to paint another bathroom. So I've been really feeling good about that. But, these are the things that we need to do to kind of distract ourselves from the coronavirus. I try to keep my news of the pandemic to no more than an hour, because I find that if I go beyond that, it starts to get overwhelming. So I do think that, keeping busy, really being mindful about the way that we treat people in our space, treat them well and just really connect with people through Zoom meetings or Skype or FaceTime really has been a lot more fun than I thought it would be. And it is really our way of connecting at this time. But let's get to our interview. I hope everyone is safe and healthy out there. I'm really sending a lot of love and healing thoughts. But we are going to get into part 2 of Fred Armisen's interview. We did this interview before the coronavirus hit. He does not talk about a mood disorder, but he does talk a lot about how he got through tough challenges in life and how he's dealt with transitions. And then after that, we're going to be speaking with Johan Svanberg of Record Union about his new mental health initiative for musicians and really for everyone, and also about his 73% study, which was really a groundbreaking study that was conducted in 2019 with over 1,500 musicians, asking them about their mental health. So let's start off with Fred Armisen and part 2 of his interview.
It's intense being in a band.
Well, then
Everything annoys you. Everything annoys you.
Like the people annoy you, or just like living in such close quarters?
Both. And not, if you're in a van together, you're this close.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's fine. We're in this room. It's this is easy.
Mm-hmm.
But after, the first week, it's fine, still fine.
Yeah.
Second week, there's little things, and it's almost like you start going crazy because you're shocked at what's annoying you.
Mm.
I'm like, why does this person keep saying the word shenanigan?
Okay.
Why? What's with the high five every time we walk into someone's house? Is that like a joke? You're kind of doing it sarcastically, or? Yes, you've mentioned that movie 1,000 times. I have not seen it. So that kind of stuff, and I did this. I annoyed the hell out of them too. I remember Wayne getting annoyed that I threw my hardware into the case too hard. So the sound of the hardware was like too loud. I was like, you don't have to. Everyone just gets on each other's nerves.
Well, I think also, when it comes to a point where you have to have a conversation with somebody because of something that really needs to be resolved, that's difficult too, right? Just to even bring that up and actually have I guess an adult conversation, because people's egos, they get defensive. They, maybe take things too hard.
And there's the inconvenience of that conversation too. You're in a band, you're trying to do your own thing, and all of a sudden someone wants to talk about something. Like, even that is...
Sounds heavy.
Right. But that's just the downside of it. I mean, in the end, my memory of being in a band is laughing a lot. We laughed a lot, we had so many inside jokes. So, yes, we annoy each other, but boy, did we laugh.
Oh, that's good.
How
long were you doing Trenchmouth? How many years was that?
8 years or something.
That's a good amount of time.
Right. Something in there.
Okay.
Maybe 7 years, but something in that zone.
Yeah.
Long, long time. And very intense, just traveling together all the time.
What do you think was your, I guess the highest point of your band, where you was wow, this is amazing, or, was it another band, or was it a venue that you played at?
Yeah. So we were based out of Chicago. And we would play some shows in Minneapolis, sort of surrounding Midwestern cities, where there were so many people who came out, really into the show. And that was a nice, nice feeling to go to another city and have this, and to play drums that hard and that fast for that long is physical. It's like a physical thing. These people are going crazy. We're going crazy. That's a dream. So that's the high point. But then
this adrenaline high, sort of this.
Yeah, it's very physical.
Yeah.
And also as a tourist, getting to see these cities, it's easy to say, to point to a nearby city and go, oh yeah, we went there. But I think it's pretty cool. I'm I really got to know Madison, Wisconsin, and Sioux City, Iowa, and all these cities that I'm when else would I have gone there? So that's nice to kind of go there for free. And then the whole country, San Francisco and Los Angeles, and all through Texas, Canada. Eventually ended up going to Italy, and we really got to see a lot.
How do you kind of stay connected with people during that time? Because I know tour life can be really exciting, visiting all these great cities and meeting all of these great people.
Yeah.
But then at home, you also have, maybe a spouse or a girlfriend or your dog or your bedroom. I mean, all these things that you
We didn't tour so much that we weren't successful enough to be gone 365 days a year.
Okay.
So we'd go on tour for a month. I'd come back and work at a restaurant, go on tour for another month, go back, so there was a balance between staying home and being away.
That's kind of nice.
Yes and no. I mean, I think I would have preferred to have been in Sebadoh or Dinosaur Jr. and have been away all the time. But just because that to me is a real success story of a band that made it. We are a band that did not rise to the level that other bands did around me.
Okay.
Oh yeah. There was I was in Chicago. The bands around me were Smashing Pumpkins.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
So
Billy Corgan
they went up to, they did pretty great. So, but I see it all as a blessing now, because now I get to do what I do. But it was not happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you also were a backup drummer for the Blue Man Group.
Yeah.
And
I learned a lot there.
what did you learn that?
It was a real lesson because the band was such a, I described playing these great places like in Minneapolis and stuff, but the rest of the touring, we played to empty halls a lot. And, we made zero money. I think we spent money probably more than we made it. And we played a very sort of atonal type of punk rock, very sort of like math, complicated, very just crazy music. And we played to nobody, and it was not like pretty punk music. It wasn't like melodic. It was more like atonal and the rhythms were weird. So playing at Blue Man Group, I auditioned and every night was like packed house.
Mm-hmm.
And Blue Man Group, we all know, they do the sort of performance art, very entertaining.
Right.
And I learned that audiences just want to be entertained. I learned that they will show up if you just keep it simple and just make it fun.
Mm-hmm.
Fun is kind of a loose word to use for it, but basically, even the angriest bands, there's a sense of element of fun to it. Or I'll just say entertaining. So that's what I learned. I was just like, oh, the people are out there. You just got to like make some kind of an attempt to entertain them.
Mm-hmm.
Trenchmouth was like, I was proving how fast I could play. Every beat. Just like weird. This weird like thing that we'd rehearse so much.
Yeah.
But for what? Like the audience wasn't like, we're really glad you achieved 9
zillion drum beats.
Yeah.
In
something in 9/8,
seconds.
Or something in 7/5 or something. Like that math that we were putting to them is like, yeah, of course they weren't there.
Mm-hmm. When I saw you at Dynasty Typewriter, you said that your career actually has been going pretty smoothly.
Yeah.
And like most of the things that you pitch, people say, hey, Fred, go for it and just run with it.
Yeah.
Which is really fortunate.
Yes.
But I'm also wondering if, looking at your career and, even with music is, you have a certain perspective that seems to be very positive and, just maybe focusing on the good stuff, maybe not so much of the bad stuff. I mean, is that what?
Yeah, because because being in a band was so hard,
Mm-hmm.
it all is good stuff.
Okay.
So every work situation, I still am like, the fact that I can do any kind of comedy at all is like, I am still blown away
Mm-hmm.
that I could show up to a venue, like I did in Australia or here
Mm-hmm.
or in LA or whatever. People show up and they just hear me talk
Okay.
on the microphone, and I just talk and everyone's happy. It's insane. It's a very, very fortunate, like a very lucky thing.
Okay, because you can kind of be, you're your own artist and you don't have to rely so much on other people.
The whole thing's a dream. The whole thing is incredible.
But then when you were with the band, the most difficult part was it the touring and getting along with the bandmates?
No, that's not the most difficult part.
What was the most difficult part?
The most difficult part is a 22-inch kick drum in a hard shell case, 20-inch ride cymbal, 18-inch crash cymbal, 14-inch hi-hats that are in a case together that weigh a lot, that hurt my back,
Mm-hmm.
that the leg of the kick drum gets me in my thigh every single time I try to put it into the van. It's
Mm-hmm.
freezing. Every venue is upstairs or downstairs or through this thing. People are smoking. We actually don't go on at midnight. It's more like 1 a.m. because they pushed everything back.
Right.
So the physical thing of carrying, by the way, someone's amp, helping them carry it every night, you do more moving. It's like moving an apartment every night.
Mm-hmm.
So that part is really a drag. There's no romance to it. There's no like, there's no part of it that I can go, actually, that was kind of cool. It is trying to find parking.
Yeah.
It's kind of near the door, but it's really not. There's ice everywhere. Middle of the night when you're sweaty and it's freezing and you're like putting a case into a van, it sucks.
It's the hardest for the drummer, too.
Hardest for the drummer. Then you're not even done. You put it in the van and you have to go to like either the bad motel you're staying at or someone's house. It is just an uncomfortable feeling all the way through.
Mm-hmm. How about the atmosphere? Like, oftentimes when you're in a band, people think it's all sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So we weren't drugs or drinking or anything like that. And the punk scene was a pretty clean living. Our friends were pretty clean living. But playing at bars, this is before smoking. This is the 90s, so there's a lot of cigarette smoke. So everything smelled like cigarette smoke. Okay.
That was a drag.
Yeah, that would be uncomfortable. So
that's a good pun.
What?
That was a drag. Oh. I didn't mean to make it that way, but
okay. Yeah. Now you play the guitar and also the piano or the keyboards.
I don't play keyboards.
No keyboards.
No, not really.
Okay.
I mean, I can do 3 chords or so and make it look like I know how to play, but I don't know what's what.
Okay.
I know the middle C and some stuff. But bass, drums, and guitar, I would say is where I'm at.
Okay.
Drums first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
Guitar, which also means bass to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the bass. I've been playing it more recently.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to do with your music right now? I mean, is there a project that you have in mind, or is it more because it's for fun?
It's just for fun, and I've gotten to do enough with music and parody and sort of pretend bands and stuff that it's worked itself out just great. I ask nothing. I've been with music. I've been given so much that I get to play joke music and to make it sound real. I get to play drums and guitar and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
For me to turn around and say, but there's one more thing I got to do. I'm all good.
Okay, so
this is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well,
at the start you were saying that you have some pearls of wisdom or advice, for leading a happy life, or, whether it has to do with relationships or, within a band or one-on-one or whatever. What would be something that you would say as far as a motto in life that makes you kind of stay happy and content?
Let's see, there's a couple things. I would say one thing a word that I heard once that really helped me is acceptance.
Okay.
So I think something happens when you accept something, a way that something is in your life that kind of helps you let go of living too much in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So when I accepted that my band wasn't going to be a big famous band, I think that kind of helps you just even look around a little bit more. I accept that we are not Smashing Pumpkins. Great. That's all right.
Mm-hmm.
So you sort of turn to this other direction that kind of, all of a sudden you find a new, just a sort of a new way of being that always turns out to be much better. And I remember when I was on SNL, midway through when I was there, Maya Rudolph left the show. She was having a family and wanted to move to LA. Now I did all my sketches with Maya.
Okay.
All of them. We just were kind of there were so many sketches where we were a duo. And I had a moment of panic, oh my God, what am I going to do? But acceptance makes you go okay, that's it. She's, we'll be fine. I work with her all the time now, but
right.
at SNL, she's not going to be here right now. Once you accept that, all of a sudden I found another part of my brain. Okay, well, what else can I try to write? So it's a weird bit of advice because it's not the same thing as saying, hey, just believe in your dreams. It's more accept the things that aren't quite working. It's okay. Make a left or a right hand turn. It's okay.
Okay.
You'll find whatever talent that is, it'll make its way back to you.
Okay.
Just I thought I was done drumming.
Yeah.
I my life is filled with drumming. It makes its way back.
The things that you love and that you're passionate about.
It'll somehow bounces around and it just echoes, and all of a sudden you're doing it anyway.
Now you mentioned SNL, and that you were there for quite a while.
Yeah.
When that ended, was there any sense of panic at that point, or did you already know what you were going to be doing?
I was already doing another show. I was already doing Portlandia.
Okay.
So it was around the same as SNL was ending, Portlandia was starting. So I went one right into the other.
Okay. So there really wasn't any panic. Maybe more excitement that you were starting this new creative thing that was more yours,
Exactly, yeah.
And with a good friend of yours.
Carrie Brownstein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear she's going to go on tour soon.
Oh, they're on tour right now. I just saw them in Oakland.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's good that you, stay in touch and you're still in the music scene.
Oh, yeah.
And I really do appreciate you coming on the podcast.
My pleasure.
You've got all this wisdom and knowledge, and I know that...
And physical strength.
Physical strength.
I could lift... any weight you put in front of me, I could lift it.
Really?
I mean, you don't have any here, so we're not going to do it.
Lugging the drums for how many years? You've got to have the arm strength and the leg strength.
I was joking. No, I struggled with lifting that stuff.
Well, I'm glad that you don't have to do that anymore, and all you have to do is lift a microphone.
That's right.
And, rustle some papers and...
That's it.
Put
Carry on luggage only.
Oh, yeah. Very nice. Well, thank you so much, Fred Armisen.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
And is there anything that you are excited about that you want to promote? I know that Lost of Spookies is something on HBO that is really different, because not only is it super funny, but it also has English and Spanish
in it. In there. Yeah, that's like the next thing pretty much. That's what we're working on season 2 now.
Okay.
And yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Fred.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next interview is with Johan Svanberg, the president of Record Union, a music distribution company that's headquartered in Stockholm, Sweden. And he is going to be talking about the 73% study, which was a study he conducted on 1,500 independent musicians, asking them about their mental health. And he also is going to speak on his new mental health initiative. So here is Johan Svanberg of Record Union.
You just see our idols kind of talking about these issues, and some even get to the point where they have to take their own lives, and we just felt that if we're going to support the potential of every artist in the world, and we want to break down or tear down barriers for them to succeed, then we felt like mental health is becoming one of the biggest issues for not just music makers, but anybody really, but especially in the music industry also. We felt like this is such a big thing now. So we wanted to contribute and not just raise awareness around the issue, but also to find a way to take action and help. We felt like it was time to do something, because we also felt like the industry wasn't really addressing the issue to the extent that we felt was necessary.
What are some of the challenges that you hear from other musicians that can maybe affect their mental health?
From the artists that I've spoken to, it's a lot about, the hours of a music maker or an artist are very irregular, and you have all night studio sessions, and you have your cross country tours, and it's not your regular 9-to-5 job that you can plan. Mm-hmm. And add to that also, of course, the financial insecurity, and there's a lot of stress that comes with the job. I think that's also contributing to it. The pressure to succeed, or the fear of failure, and the financial instability was kind of the top reasons when we did a big survey of about 1,500 of our artists and had them answer some questions around what contributes to stress and anxiety in their everyday life. And it was mostly the fear of failure and the financial instability that was kind of up there as the top reasons.
I know from being a music journalist and covering local bands, as well as covering bands that have, got to the point where they've made it, and they're doing these worldwide tours. I mean, oftentimes alcohol and the drugs that are like so embedded into the industry. I mean, I know a lot of local bands that play gigs that get paid in beer or alcohol. They get free drinks. And then when they finally make it, they go on tour. And sometimes when they get hit with a mood disorder, the easiest thing for them to do is maybe grab a drink or, do something to self-medicate. I had a musician even tell me that it's almost more accepted to do that than maybe, go to a doctor or, see a counselor or a psychiatrist, or maybe it's just easier. But either way, it's really not, the right way to go. I'm sure you've had your own experiences hearing from others in the industry that have had to struggle with addictions.
The problem is also that people that don't have these problems don't really understand them either. So we have to break the stigma so artists can talk about it, but we also have to make other people accept this problem and kind of put it up there with other health issues so it gets to the same weight. My experience is that a lot of artists are also afraid to talk about how they feel and afraid to talk about their problems.
Right, exactly. You started talking a little bit about the 73% study, a study that you conducted on 1,500 musicians, asking questions about mental health. And I was wondering, what was it that first inspired you to conduct this study?
We were inspired to do it because we felt like with our mission as a company, we're trying to enable and support all the artists in the world. And we felt like this was such a big challenge for artists, and we felt like this is something we need to address. We decided to just start by conducting a survey to just understand a little bit more about the problem. We had them answer a bunch of questions, and there were a few, I guess, takeaways that I think stood out for me at least. We named the study the 73% because 73% of the respondents claimed to have symptoms of mental illness in relation to their music creation. So that's why we named it that, because we thought it was such a staggering figure. And even 1 out of 3 said that they've had panic attacks. Another thing that stood out was also that only 1 out of 5 said that they thought that the industry was doing something meaningful to improve the situation. Mm-hmm. So they kind of feel like the industry turned their backs on them in this regard, at least. And it was also clear that there's still a lot of stigma. I think only 1 in 20, so about 5%, said that they would take these problems to their manager and that they would rather talk to a friend or a family member. So it's not even something that you want to go to your reps with. When we decided to do our 73% initiative, which was to set aside $30,000 to fund initiatives that would aim to prevent or raise awareness around mental health.
I really applaud you for taking action, because I do feel that mental health awareness is increasing among the industry, which is fantastic. There's kind of been more of an upsurge with it, but I think also the action of solutions is really important. And that's one thing, like with the podcast, I not only have notable musicians share their story, but really focus on the solutions so that going forward, musicians can have some tools that they could use, or maybe resources, or maybe a certain kind of therapy that they might want to look into for their own situation. So the 73% study, you're still taking action on that based on the results that you found. And so I want to hear about, I guess, just the idea behind the Wellness Starter Pack.
So we're going to put up a collection of videos and articles where we explore the impact that sleep and nutrition, exercise, mindfulness, and positivity has on music makers' health, and then try to also provide some actionable steps that everybody can take. The top things that artists say that they wanted to be better at was eating well, working out, getting enough sleep, being aware of their feelings and mental state, and also try to surround themselves with positive and supporting people. So that's kind of how we ended up with those 5 areas.
Mm-hmm.
And then we try to find experts in those 5 areas that we can kind of develop tips and tricks and how-to videos and things like that. So this initiative was more to have a tangible tools for everybody that everybody could use.
You know, one of the things that I say with the podcast is really to be persistent in finding this, you know, what helps you, because I find there's so many different solutions for mental health disorders, but everyone needs to kind of navigate and find out what fits best for their personality and for their lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people spend so much money on gym cards and classes and Barry's boot camps and whatnot, but they still kind of aren't always inclined to do the same when it comes to mental health. And I mean, there's so many good apps like, you know, Headspace or things like that you can also use. Creative people might be prone to anxiety and depression related things, maybe a little bit more. And whether, you know, that is because, you know, the classic stereotype is that, you know, tormented souls seek out, you know, creative ways to express themselves. But also, you know, living off of art is something that is not so easy and very frustrating at times. So, you know, which one drives the other is of course, it's kind of a chicken and egg thing, I think.
So the videos that are part of the Wellness Starter Pack, is that going to be only for record union artists, or is that going to be for others as well?
So the videos are going to be for everybody. We don't think that we want to limit this to our to just our user base, because we want to help all the artists in the world. So we're going to roll them out to anyone who wants to watch them.
Oh, wonderful! That's really great. And I would think is it a website that they go to, or would it be like a YouTube channel?
Everything is going to be on www.thewellnessstarterpack.com. And so all the articles and videos and everything are going to be there.
I think, you know, especially during these coronavirus days and people, you know, learning to stay indoors and still get help, that there are so many different apps and things that you could do through your computer, like virtual meetings with a counselor or psychiatrist. There's also a lot of apps where you can have support groups, whether it's for alcohol addiction or it's for, you know, just a mood disorder support group. So there's really a lot out there. And you know, if you go on checkyourheadpodcast.com, you'll find I have it separated between help just for musicians, in other words, organizations that just help musicians and mood disorders. Then there's help for everyone. And then there's a section just on apps and other e-counseling that you could do through your computer or your phone. And I think that's really important because I find that, you know, when people are really going through a bad time, you know, they could self-isolate and not want to be with people. And sometimes all they have with them is their phone. And if that's the easiest and quickest way for them to get help, you know, whether it's going to your website, going to the wellnessstarterpack.com, or going to my website to find some help, they could also sort of stay anonymous and have it be confidential, because I think that's another barrier that, especially if it's a notable artist, they may not want to, you know, have things public. They may not feel comfortable with that, or just, you know, anyone out there, they want to keep things in confidence.
Yeah, definitely. I think, we just want to lower the barriers as much as possible to help as many people as possible, I think. But it would be great, of course, to, after some time, ask the same questions again and see, you know, if the industry has moved the needle, or if we were a part of helping the industry move the needle in these issues, and see if you know, artists are looking at these problems differently. I mean, I don't think that we can overnight dramatically get the numbers down, but I think what we can do in the maybe more short term is to help with the stigma issue and make artists feel more comfortable getting help.
Well, thank you so much. Johan Svanberg of Record Union. Thank you so much for all the good work that you're doing on mental health.
Thank you. And thank you too for all the important work that you do.
Thank you so much to Johan Svanberg, the president of Record Union. And if you'd like to know more about the Wellness Starter Pack, go to thewellnessstarterpack.com or to recordunion.com. Another big thanks to Fred Armisen. Catch Fred on the new season of Los Spookies, which is on HBO, or go to fredarmisen.com to find out what is going on in Fred's world. So until next time, be brave, ask for help, and be persistent in finding the mental help that you need.
Check Your Head is kindly supported by DBSA San Gabriel Valley, Lemon Tree Studios in Los Angeles, Blue Oak Podcasting, and other kind donors and sponsors. Visit checkyourheadpodcast.com where you'll find more resources for mental help, subscribe $2 to our podcast on our Patreon page, and be our friends on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Check Your Head Podcast is a 501c3 sponsored nonprofit with all donations being tax deductible. Thank you so much for listening.